one of the things I like to do on the channel is introduce you to other people that have been able to retire early. I think it's super helpful for all of us. And today I've got a new friend, her name's Sylvie, and she was able to retire at 55 years old, and she's from Quebec, Canada, and we met here in Guatemala, Central America. Thanks for joining us, Sylvie.
Good afternoon, Azul. Nice to meet you.
Okay, so let's tell our audience, how did you get to the decision where you said, enough, I want to retire?
Well, for many weeks I was working and going to work, and I told myself, I don't want to be here, I don't want to be here, what am I doing here? And so I did that for a little while, and it was a very high stress job. So I decided one day I said, oh, I can quit. And that's when I took the decision to just quit without any planning whatsoever. I had planned, like everybody else, to stop at 60 or 65. Definitely not at 55, but I did, and it's possible.
And what was the thing that led to you saying, you know what, I can quit? What were the boxes you wanted to check before you told your boss you're quitting and you're retiring?
Well, I wasn't actually quite sure if I was financially okay. One thing that I was sure is that, stress is not good for my body, for my health. And I decided to prioritize that as opposed to prioritize money. And I thought, I know I'm doing well enough. I don't know how well, but I decided, no, my health and my is more important to me. Yeah.
And Sylvie, how long ago was that you retired?
That was 4.5 years ago already.
And what was the first 6 months like? What did you do the first 6 months? Was it a difficult transition? Was it a vacation, party feeling? How did you feel, and how do you feel now?
Well, the first Monday was definitely weird because, okay, what do I do? It was actually, the first few weeks was not too bad because it felt like a little bit like a holiday. It's after that it became, it was difficult because, well, first of all, it was during COVID, not the best time. Well, it felt the best thing that I've ever done. There's not 1 second that I regret it. And the only thing I needed to do is to look at my finances, reshuffle a few things, and just prioritize something different as opposed to materials. Stop spending and then and spend more time doing things that is good for my body and my soul and my mind.
So let's talk about the numbers side of things first, not the actual numbers for your account, but just how you thought about it. We were talking before we decided to do this interview. One of the things that's nice is to have some form of passive income. Some people have rental properties, some people have, they've invested in a business, but the challenge with that is it's still a headache. You're basically swapping jobs, right? You're swapping your 9-to-5 job for managing the Airbnb, managing your rental properties. What was your strategy for passive income?
Basically, well, one of my neighbors, a friend of mine, many years ago, he told me, Sylvie, invest in dividend stocks. And I said, well, I don't know nothing about it. And so I decided, I had started, before retiring, I had started to look into stocks and investing. And basically, I just read a bit more about it and decided to actually sell all my mutual funds that were invested with an advisor and moved absolutely everything and manage my portfolio. And now it's been really good. Otherwise, I would not be able to retire. So you need passive income. I needed that anyway.
And so what does that look like for folks that, high level might understand it? Do these dividends get deposited into your bank once a month, every 6 months, once a year? How does that work? And then, how do you get access to that money? So when you're here in Guatemala, Central America, you have access to cash to fund your expenses.
Basically, depending on the stock, some stocks pays monthly dividends, some quarterly, and some yearly. That's rare, but most of my stocks are monthly dividends. So at this point, I am still liquidating money that I've got in my business, but eventually, pretty soon, actually next year, probably, I'm going to have to transfer. I'm going to have to use this money that I get monthly paid for and and I'll be able to leave some in my account to reinvest by itself. So I just reinvest every month. So it keeps growing and growing, and I'm just sitting at home, or I'm sitting in Guatemala enjoying the money.
So retiring, leaving your job is a big change. Another big change, as we were talking before the interview, is making the decision to actually sell everything and travel. You're on a solo traveling adventure for 6 months. Share with our audience how you came to that decision, how you prepared for something like this, and are there things that you're worried about doing this solo travel?
Yes, well, the first thing, the decision to sell my house was because I really need a change. I needed a change, a big change in my life, and I thought if I stay here, nothing will change. So selling my house was one thing. And now because I sold my house, I said, okay, what do I do with my time? So I decided, and I've always been wanting to travel, so I decided this is a great opportunity to go travel. The big thing is first time traveling on my own, and I'm in 12 days in my trip, which I'm going to be traveling for 6 months, and so far it's the best thing I've done. It's actually it's helping me growing as a person and to have more self-confidence. So yes, I still got a little bit of fears, but I'm working on them, and I don't put any pressure on myself. I'm just going to go with the flow.
Yeah, so I've done some solo traveling as well, and one of the things I like about that is it helps you better discover who you really are at your core, right? I tell people it's like I have attachments that have been put on me by society. And in my case, I lived in the same home. I raised my family there for 25 years. I knew all my neighbors really well. I knew them really well, which is great. But then there's also a negative with that, right? There's pieces that they put onto you. And when you solo travel, over time, you start taking those things off one by one. So I think many viewers are interested in traveling and doing exactly what you're doing, but they're a little afraid to do it. What advice were you a little afraid to do it, and what advice do you have for other people that might be a little fearful?
My God, I've been thinking about it for months and months and much, and not sleeping, and what am I doing? Why am I doing this? But I decided to do it anyway because I knew within myself this is the change that I needed, and it's like, yeah, you just have to take this leap of faith, and basically it's about trusting yourself, and now I can't believe how much I've achieved within the last 12 days. I've met people, I've enjoyed myself, I'm walking on the streets with confidence, I'm learning Spanish. And we put all the limitation ourselves, nobody else, maybe other people, but in my case it was my own limitation, and I decided to break this. I need to break this because I really want to enjoy my life, because I'm retired, I've got so much time, I want to enjoy every minute of it.
And as you look back to your decision to retire, and probably all the trepidations you had, the concerns, many people are hesitant to retire. As you look back at that now, does that seem silly to you? What's your thoughts on that concern, taking that first jump? Mm-hmm. What advice do you have for people to actually take that jump that are thinking about doing this?
First of all is to believe that it's possible, that we can, and the fact is, the other thing is, I think money is probably the biggest issue for a lot of people. And the fact is, we need a lot less than we actually think we need. If we stop spending money, as a friend told me before, he said the money you don't spend is money you don't need to earn. So stop spending, and that's what I did many years. I mean, actually in 2008, I stopped wasting money on fancy restaurants, on fancy clothing, and we have enough. We have so much more than we need, and it's to stop spending on things. And now I'd rather spend money on traveling and do things I really enjoy, on experiences as opposed to material. I got rid of 2/3 of my stuff, and it feels really freeing.
So Sylvie, you and I are about the same age. We're about 60 years old. And one of the things I share with my audience, I call it my shock statement, to really get folks to pay attention. And that is, unfortunately, at our age, you and I likely have less than 1,000 weeks of healthy, active time remaining. And so I want to talk about health. When you're working, it's hard to balance it all. It's hard to take time to get healthy. So having been retired for almost 5 years now, what impact do you think retiring early has had on your health?
Well, I think for my body, it was better because I'm moving more, I'm doing more, I've got more time, and to exercise, and also, but I think especially is the mental health, as to be stuck in a box all day long and sitting on a chair and having to deal with stress all day long. I think this is the worst, and that's why a lot of people are sick, is because of the stress that it creates diseases, and so to have the freedom to be, I feel happier, I feel more relaxed, and I feel that I really can take care of my body and my mind.
I'm glad you brought up the mental health. I was talking about the physical health, but the mental health is every bit as important. And the reality is work's stressful, right? We have to deliver. I don't care how great of a boss you have. In jobs, we have to deliver. And the nice thing about being retired is we get to deliver on the goals that we're excited about. Before I let you go, I just want to ask, you're at the beginning, you're at day 12 of your 6-month adventure. What are 3 or 4 of the things that you're most excited about for this 6-month period?
To be honest, is to discover who I am, doing this trip by myself, and develop my self-confidence. And this trip is really about growth. That this is my priority number 1. That's why I'm doing a meditation retreat and yoga retreat, and also discover about different culture and just explore, enjoying life. I just want to enjoy life. At this stage of my life, I spent all these years inside a box, and now it's really time, and I'm still healthy. It's like I'm gonna do it now and not wait.
Good for you. And Sylvia, I want to thank you again for taking the time to talk to our audience and to share your adventure. Again, day 12 of your 6-month journey. Have a great time.
Thank you so much. It's really nice to bump into you. Thank you.
Same here. Bye-bye.